Hello everyone, welcome to Comical Comments, the show where we discuss comic books and stories in comic books. I'm your host, Josh. Today is a very special episode. Today, I will be covering House of M, which was a big X-Men crossover slash I'm gonna mingle with the rest of the Marvel Universe crossover that involves Scarlet Witch, who is a lot more powerful in the comics than she is in the MCU. And I keep trying to explain that to people, like, oh, you don't know shit. I'm like, I do. I do, though. I know everything. I am a well of comic knowledge. Which is a common problem on first dates, just to let you know. Anyway, what is House of M? Well, House of M is, well, you know, what if Wanda Maximoff got tired of her dad and her brother's bullshit and just changed reality the way she saw fit? Let's jump in. But first, I'm going to give you some facts about House of M. To understand the full impact of House of M, one must understand the landscape of Marvel Comics in 2001 and the state of the intercompany crossover in general. Marvel had all but abandoned the event format, but instead, under Jimenez and Quesada, focused on creativity, fixing its all-star cast of characters. A superheroic pantheon that had left somewhat broken by the speculative glut of the 90s. Suddenly, some very fresh voices were guiding the adventures of Marvel's biggest stars. TV writer J. Michael Straczynski was writing Amazing Spider-Man. The woefully strange Grant Morrison wrote a revolution in the new X-Men. Horror icon Bruce Jones was managing The Incredible Hulk. Famed director Kevin Smith had established a new and exciting direction for Daredevil, and Vertigo legend Garth Ennis found a bloody new direction for the Punisher. Added to these visionaries was Cleveland-based writer Brian Michael Bendis, a fast-rising star who was already thrilling fans with his award-winning run on Daredevil, who was recently introduced to the characters of Jessica Jones in the pages of the mature readers' Marvel Max series. More importantly, Bendis ushered in the Ultimate Universe with the fan-favorite Ultimate Spider-Man in 2004. Bendis had handed the keys to Marvel's Avengers, a franchise that was experiencing a wane in popularity both the early years of the 20th century. A year after Bendis' Avengers disassembled, tore the Marvel's classic team asunder, House of M promised to continue Bendis' universe-altering storytelling. While fans may have been expecting some sequential changes, little did anyone know House of M would not only change the heroes of the Marvel Universe, but it would also change the business of comics, particularly in the area of promotion. Bendis already got a rise of Avengers fans by killing off the long-standing Avengers like Vision and Hawkeye. With upcoming House of M story, Bendis added the X-Men into the mix with the disassembled Avengers. House of M promised to be the ultimate Avengers X-Men story, and Bendis took to the internet to begin his huge media blitz, promising shell-shocked fans, still reeling from Hawkeye's death, that House of M would break the internet. House of M marked the first time a major comic book event, publicized through the internet, using chat rooms, talkback sections, and news groups. Remember those? Blew up speculation over what Bendis, the man who shattered the Avengers, would do when given the entirety of the Marvel Universe to play with. Let's begin. House of M. Wanda Maximoff, also known as Scarlet Witch, is living on the devastated island of Genosha, under the care of Professor Charles Xavier and her father Magneto. Professor X informs Magneto that his telepathic powers will no longer be able to hold back Wanda's reality warping abilities, and that a permanent solution must be found. Magneto blames himself for twisting his children through the strength of his will and dreams. Meanwhile, Xavier arranges a meeting of the Avengers, the X-Men, and several lone heroes to the Avengers Tower to decide the fate of Wanda Maximoff. Emma Frost concludes that killing Wanda is the only way to end her destructive powers. Of course, Emma Frost would be the one to, just just kill someone and end the problem. Captain America argues that the group should seek alternate methods of dealing with Wanda, including suppression of her powers and her insanity. The X-Men argue that if word gets out that a mutant with the ability to change reality went insane, it would send human-mutant relations back to the Stone Age. I think human-mutant relations hasn't been good for a very long time in the X-Men comics. I don't think it's been very good anyway, but Wolverine, you do have a point. As the conversation progresses, it is revealed that Professor X asked Doctor Strange to help Wanda, but unfortunately, neither is strong enough to combat her magic. Let's not forget that magic is a mutant power that you can get in a cereal box, probably. I mean, in the X-Men universe, in the Marvel universe, I'm pretty sure you can get powers out of a cereal box at this point. Wolverine speaks up, saying there's no other way. Wanda must be killed. Another person who was all up on the kill train, Wolverine, but no one's ever told Wolverine he couldn't kill anybody, I guess. The rest of the group decides they must talk to Wanda in person before making that decision. Back in Genosha, distraught Quicksilver rushes to Magneto and reveals that he was just in New York City where he heard that the X-Men and the Avengers are planning to kill Wanda. What took him so long to get there? Magneto does not know what to do and clearly upset asks, "What would you have me do?" Quicksilver falls to the floor sobbing and Magneto glances over at his sleeping daughter. Xavier takes two groups to Genosha, only to discover that Wanda is missing. Suddenly the members of the group start to disappear one by one. Spider-Man is soon the only one left to become engulfed in a white light. This section of the story I'm going to title The New World, which is the reality that Wanda crafts for herself, because the only reason she did this, per se, is because she had to kill her children who weren't real in the first place. And she killed Vision and Hawkeye. It was just a problem. When the light departs, the world is changed. Spider-Man is a celebrity married to Gwen Stacy. Cyclops and Emma Frost are married. Doctor Strange is a psychologist. Carol Danvers is Captain Marvel. America's most beloved superhero, Gambit, is a criminal. Steve Rogers is an aged veteran, as the vigilantes of their lives are followed. It becomes readily apparent that none of them remember the change. Wolverine recalls all of his lost memories and knows that this new world is a lie. Leave it to Wolverine to be the voice of reason and know what's going on. He finds the world he has changed into one where Homo superior are the dominant species, instead of Homo sapiens. Mutants rule humans, and Magneto and his House of M rule the mutants. Oh boy, I feel like this has happened somewhere before. Wolverine seeks help from his fellow X-Men and Avengers. Unable to find Professor X, Wolverine goes looking for Spider-Man and Tony Stark. He is confronted by his teammates, quote-unquote, in Red Guard, elite mutant soldiers of S.H.I.E.L.D. Wolverine escapes and finds the mutant resistance movement led by Luke Cage. Cage has gathered other non-mutant crime fighters to protect humans from the House of M's abuse of power. Wolverine is shocked to see one of the mutants is Clint Barton, Hawkeye, and a hero who had died in the real world. Why would she bring back Clint Barton if she needed him dead? I guess that was just a way of, having fun with it? I don't know. Wolverine explains that he knows this world was created by the Scarlet Witch and theorizes Magneto used her to create the world where everyone's deepest wish was granted. Magneto got mutant supremacy he always wanted. Spider-Man got a life of happiness and contentment. Wolverine is an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. but remembers the world from before at House of M. Luke Cage reveals that a little girl named Laura Miller told him almost exactly the same thing days ago. The heroes begin visiting the Avengers and X-Men in their new lives as Layla awakens the true memories of their minds. This section is called the Wake Up Call. Wolverine and the Human Resistance awaken many heroes to the truth, including Cyclops, Spider-Man, Shadowcat, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, She-Hulk, Daredevil, Rogue, Mystique, Nightcrawler, Toad, Spider-Woman. Hawkeye becomes distraught over learning of his death and briefly leaves the group. I'm pretty sure anyone would be a little bit, iffy if they just found out they've been dead for like a year. The rest travel to Genosha for the final confrontation with Magneto. Where have I seen this before? Back in Genosha, Magneto receives representatives from around the world to commemorate the mutant triumph over humanity. They attack Magneto and his family directly. While Cloak and Emma Frost, Doctor Strange and Layla search for Xavier, they find a gravestone with Xavier's name, but Cloak discovers there's no body in it. Now, the battle against the House of M, which really could have happened in the first issue, but, whatever. The battle between House of M and the heroes continues with great ferocity. While the chaos ensues, the Scarlet Witch disappears from the battlefield, only to be discovered by Doctor Strange in a tower with her children, who don't exist. Let me point that out. They don't exist. They're not real. The two begin to talk as Doctor Strange attempts to discover the origin of the madness that is happening. Wanda reveals the answer to him in a flashback from when Quicksilver confronted Magneto about the fate of Wanda. Turns out that Quicksilver himself was responsible for the creation of the alternate world, suggesting to Wanda to make everyone happy in an almost perfect world. After this revelation, Emma Frost tells Doctor Strange to ask about the fate of Charles Xavier. Before she can answer, Wanda is struck in the back with an arrow from Hawkeye. The attacker is Hawkeye, who begins to break down emotionally to Wanda's about his death in the real timeline. After a heated exchange, Hawkeye is killed for the second time as one of Scarlet Witch's antagonized sons uses mutant powers to erase the Avenger. Meanwhile, in Memorial Garden, Magneto confronts Emma Frost and Layla Miller, who discover the truth to Magneto about what has happened. He then unleashes his wrath on everyone, especially his son Quicksilver. He kills Quicksilver by pummeling him into a bloody pulp with large pieces of steel. That's one way to get rid of a child, I guess. Suddenly, the Scarlet Witch appears and returns her brother to life. She begins to lash out, saying, "We're freaks, mutants. You chose this over us. You ruined us, Daddy." She then utters, "No more mutants," and everything turns to white again. This section is called Back to Normal. Also, no more mutants. In a blinding flash, the world seemingly returns to normal. The Avengers come together to try to make sense of what just happened that night, only to be confronted by a distraught Doctor Strange, who states that the House of M storyline really took place and its effects are slowly being felt on the wider scale. They later get an alert from the ruins of Avengers Mansion. Investigating, they find Hawkeye's uniform pinned to a wall, and the arrows suggesting that Hawkeye is very much alive. At least she did something right, I guess. At the Xavier Institute for Higher Learning, most of the students lose their mutant abilities. Emma Frost scans the world with Cerebro for a mutant activity. She learns that the number of mutants in the world has dropped from millions to a few hundred. Wolverine awakens remembering everything about his past. The X-Men fly to Genosha, looking for Magneto and his children. They find Magneto is also powerless, and does not know where Wanda or Quicksilver have gone. Leave it to Magneto to lose some of the most powerful mutants in the world. Alright, cool. The heroes can only guess about what has caused the majority of the mutant population to lose their powers. Xavier is still missing, and Cerebro and Doctor Strange are unable to detect Scarlet Witch. Hank Pym warns that all these powers do not simply vanish, or are contained somewhere, and that because of every action has an equal and an opposite reaction, the question remains as to what the reaction to those events will be. A colossal red ribbon of energy begins to orbit Earth, implying the return of the Phoenix Force. This would also signal the beginnings of the X-Men versus the Avengers storyline. Well, boys and girls, that was House of M. And now that I've gone back and read it, and I've done this episode, I could see how important it was for Marvel fans back then to have this big event happen, and it being so good. Except for some flaws, which, I'm not going to get into, because, I'm not going to be that guy. But House of M was a revolutionary story, and I feel that Marvel proper today could learn from House of M and put on these huge events that are really great. Like Civil War II, it's not that great. That I can tell you. There are some big Marvel events that are just like, okay. Like when Captain America became a Nazi. And speaking of that, that is our next episode. Tune in next time where I discuss Secret Empire. Catch you later.